Hey friend, we are back and this is video number 2 in a series on facing and embracing uncertainty. And I want to challenge you today with a potentially fresh perspective on the fact that uncertainty is inevitable. We're all going to go through it. We're all going to face it. But what if in uncertainty, that is where all opportunity lies for you? Uncertainty is a realm where there's risk involved to step into the unknown or to step in something you've never done before that feels uncertain. It's also a realm of potential fear of choices, fear of the unknown. But what if? What if uncertainty is also the realm where there lies an invitation? An invitation to new, an invitation to more, and an invitation to just opportunities, things that you've only dreamed of. What if all of those dreams, the things that are in your heart that maybe reality and the uncertainty of your reality today has kind of stifled, or you've squashed it, or you've just put it aside for now? It's kind of like the thing that's sitting on the shelf for you that's collecting dust. What if that dream and that desire and that longing that's in your heart, what if it's sitting there collecting dust because it's living in this realm of the uncertain reality that you're living in? But what if today, as we get through these next few minutes together, what if you could gain a fresh perspective around the invitation that's also waiting for you in that same uncertainty? So I want you to think back maybe to a time in your life where you felt the most uncertain. Maybe it is today, everything that you're feeling with COVID and quarantine and riots and just government and economy and your financial situation. I just want you to think of that time. Maybe there's another event in your life that comes to mind immediately that brings with it so many feelings. What are the feelings that you feel when you think of uncertainty? Is it fear? Is it anger? Is it sadness? Is it loneliness? Sometimes we can feel loneliness in our uncertainty because we feel like we're maybe the only one facing that, or we feel like we can't tell people about the uncertainties and the fears that we're dealing with. I want you to imagine that moment with me and imagine all the feelings of that uncertainty brings for you. And I want you to think about the cost of staying stuck in those emotions, and the cost of staying stuck in that uncertainty, doing nothing, going nowhere, just living in it, living in that uncertainty, the anxiety, the worry, all the costs that it brings with it that are in some ways inevitable. They come with uncertainty. But again, I want you to think with me today about this. The truth is, you can't change it, no matter how much fear or anxiety that you choose to live in, no matter how few risks that you choose to take, and no matter how safe you try to play your life, you cannot avoid uncertainty. I think we try to avoid risk, we try to play it safe, and we try sometimes to even live in fear, thinking those things are going to protect us from the uncertainty and the feelings that come with it, that overwhelm, the anxiety, the worry. But the truth is, no matter how much we do those things, we still can't avoid uncertainty. It's coming no matter what. There's the bad news. But you can change your mindset around uncertainty. And I am here, friend, to tell you, I have lived with so much uncertainty in my life, as have you. The difference is I have chosen to go on the journey of mastering my mindset around uncertainty. And I believe that is what separates people from success or no success, from moving forward in their life or staying stuck, from having a life that represents growth and abundance. Yes, hard things riddled all throughout that same life that's representing success or abundance or growth or joy, all those things you probably desire. It doesn't mean your life's void of hard. It doesn't mean it's void of uncertainties. It means that that person has learned to master their mindset around uncertainty, and they think differently. Maybe, just maybe, they think differently than you do today, which is why they're getting different results in their life, even though they're facing the exact same uncertainties. And we talked a little bit last week. This is the first time in history we were just like on this worldwide, unprecedented, together, in it together uncertainty. So we can truly say we're all kind of facing some similar things. It may play out differently in our life, but we're all facing some very similar things. what I want you to hear me, what I want to make sure you're not hearing me say is that I grew up in faith, in a church and in a community where our faith was a priority in our life, and Jesus was a priority in my life. However, and there were so many good things that I take from that, and so much truth that has just stuck with me. However, one thing that I have worked out for myself now as an adult is that there are many times that in hard times, the way that I grew up, it was kind of easy to put a Jesus bow on something that was really hard. And to just say, you know what, your faith or Jesus, because you have him, it's just going to be okay. And there were so many times in my life where things just weren't okay. They just didn't work out the way that I thought they were going to. And there was disappointments, and there was heartaches, and there was hurts. And it took now, later in my life, of learning Jesus doesn't just make everything okay. He helps us find a way. He helps us find a way through it. But it doesn't mean he just, we put a little bow on it and it means we're going to get to avoid it. And in 2006, I was 25. I had a 3-year-old and I had a 1-year-old and a newborn. So 2 girls and a newborn little baby boy. I was a pastor's wife at a church of about 13,000. And on the outside, I would say it was the picture perfect certain life. It was safe. I was playing things safe until one day at 6:28 p.m. I was in the kitchen chopping broccoli and dropped the knife, and because an internal alarm had gone off inside of me, and I ran into our bedroom, into our master bedroom, into the closet where my son was taking his mid-afternoon evening nap, and I found him face down, black and blue, not breathing. And the moments that followed of CPR and ambulance lights and racing to the hospital and hearing the doctor say that there was nothing else that they could do for him, my predictable, safe world came crashing down. All of the uncertainty and the fears and the unknowns came rushing in all at once, and everything came crashing down. And I spent the next 2 years in that unstable, uncertain space, wrestling with God, angry at God, hating him, wanting to just like run away from it all. And I would go through, I went through this period of going for runs, literally, like I would just go for a run, and I felt like I was trying to outrun my pain at this point, and I would run miles, like 8 to 10 miles. And I would just run with both middle fingers out, flipping God the bird, like, I hate you. Like, I hate you. I'm so mad at you. And this was a scary thing for me to say, for me to be honest and raw and real with him, because first off, I kind of thought he would like strike me with lightning. I didn't think I could be this open and honest with my emotions. I didn't know that he could handle them. I didn't even know that he wanted them. I didn't know he wanted to know those things. And so I was willing to sit in that uncertainty. I was willing to wrestle and to ask the questions that in a lot of my circles, nobody was willing to ask. Nobody was okay with me even asking some of the questions I was asking. And yet that uncertainty pushed me. It pushed me to discover for myself at the end of that, after 2 years. I remember ending up on a street corner, and I was listening my iPod at that point and I was listening to a song from a band called 10th Avenue North, and we knew these guys. They had been a part of our youth group, and so their music was just amazing to me, but I honestly didn't know if I believed any of it at this point. But I remember this song came on, and I just melted. I just melted to a pile on the street corner, just sobbing. And I held my fist up to God and just said, I hate you. But life without you, life with you sucks. And life without you sucks more. It's darker, it's bleaker, it's more uncertain. So I know that doesn't sound profound, but it was this profound moment for me of realization that God had let me wrestle. He had let me wrestle and be ugly and be nasty and hate him and not really want to follow him, not want to do anything that had to do anything with him. I just wanted answers, and I wanted answers now, and I wanted them on my terms and all of that. And yet he was so kind and so gracious. And I just remember this crack in my heart opening. And it was enough of a crack and enough light that came in that let me know I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it another day. And tomorrow is not going to feel this dark. It's not going to feel this heavy. It may still have uncertainty. And I don't get all that. I don't get how it works out. But all I know is life with him's hard, and life with him, without him is even harder. And I'm willing to take a chance. I'm willing to take a chance here to see if there's maybe something here that can help me find my way in the uncertainty, that can help me find my way through it. Because right now, what I'm doing is even more uncertain and more shaky, and it's harder. And so that was the beginning for me of taking a risk. It was a huge risk for me because I'd grown up with a very certain faith. I'd grown up with a faith that said if you follow these rules and you do these things, life just shakes out. It works out okay. And yet the reality around me was I was watching people die of cancer, even though we prayed for them. I was watching all these things that just felt like discrepancies for me. It felt like incongruencies, and I didn't know how to reconcile them, so I kind of just ignored them. I tried to play good girl and follow the rules and do all the things that I thought would keep me safe from the realm of pain and hurt and uncertainties. And the truth was it actually created more uncertainty for me because I just didn't know how to navigate it. And that is what I want to bring to you guys today, is this invitation. Looking at uncertainty as an invitation. It doesn't mean it doesn't suck. It doesn't mean it's not hard. It is still those things. And yet, what lies inside of that uncertainty for you? What is the potential? What is the possibility that is inside of that? And again, we talked last week about how I believe there is a driving value inside of all of us that is driving us towards certainty. We want certainty, whether we're going to get it from a faith that says if we follow these rules, we're going to get this. If I put an X, out pops Y or Z. We might get it through, if I marry this type of man or that type of guy or girl, this is what my life's going to look like. If I have 4 kids, 2 girls, 2 boys, if I make this much money. We are on a quest to create this certain safe life because we somehow subconsciously believe that those things, if we have them and we can align our life in such a way, it will help protect us. And the truth is, it doesn't. We saw last week, there's so many uncertainties. And so what do you do with all the uncertainty that you face? What do you do right now? What did I actually do in those years and the following years after burying my son? And the uncertainty that followed in the years after of my oldest daughter watching the trauma. It felt, for me, it has still felt, she's almost 18, almost like losing 2 kids. There was so much that happened in the spiraling years after. We talk about our initial losses and our secondary losses, the micro losses. We lost 2 jobs back to back. We went where we were living on beans and rice, selling everything out of our home, rationing toilet paper to our kids. It was just a domino effect of uncertainty for years. We're not talking about one moment. This was years and years of just uncertainty. And yet, somehow in the midst of that, changing my mindset to say, what if my life isn't about trying to avoid all this? What if I need to embrace it? What if there's a gift for me in this? And as I begin to accept and come to this place of acceptance of what is in front of me, I will not walk this planet with my son, Hosea. What if I can accept that and come to the place of realizing that all the uncertainties that means and brings with it, there's a gift in it? What if I can come to the place of accepting that we've lost multiple jobs and we don't know where our next paycheck is, but maybe there's a gift in the uncertainty. If I'm willing to step out, if I'm willing to potentially take some risks. So let me tell you first, I'm going to tell you what to do to change your mindset. And I'm going to tell you what not to do. What not to do first is don't avoid it. Don't avoid the uncertainty you're facing. Talk about it. Don't deny it. Acknowledge it. A lot of times this is what we do, and we create our own isolation and our own loneliness. Don't do what I did with Bible Band-Aids. I was really good at finding verses and Bible Band-Aiding them, and it doesn't mean that those things aren't true. Those things, as I have wrestled them out for myself, I have found the truth in them. But the way that I was using them was a Band-Aid or a cover-up to not have to face the hard emotions, to not have to face the feelings. And instead of band-aiding it with religion or Bible verses or any method that you might choose to use, just sit in it. For me, it was learning that Jesus actually doesn't want me to band-aid it and ignore it. He wants to sit in it with me. He wants to be there with me and cry with me and go through the pain with me and show me a way through it to become stronger and to develop character. Okay, so what do we do? How do we embrace uncertainty? And I would say number one, and there's only one point that I want to give you today, is it is transforming your mindset. We are changed. We are transformed by renewing our minds. And I want to show you what exactly I mean by that. That sounds really catchy, kind of cliche-ish, I think. However, it's true. We are transformed by renewing our minds. So in this instance with uncertainty, how do we renew our minds? How do we get to this place of transformation and change and go from the caterpillar to the butterfly? Like, how do we get there? I believe, and this is probably not the only way, but I'm going to give you one way today. One way that has worked for me of transforming my mindset, of renewing my mindset around uncertainty and seeing true transformation, where I am walking into successes. I am walking into abundance and into joy, even in the midst of uncertainty, is by changing my thinking from either or to a both and. I want you to think about being able to hold space for both, instead of I'm either uncertain and shaky and full of fear and anxious and worry and all this stuff, or I'm successful and I've got it all together and I know what I'm doing with my life. And maybe you're scrolling through Facebook and Instagram and you see all the people that you think have it all together, and you're telling yourself the stories that they never feel this, they never feel uncertain, they never feel afraid. Look at their life. They're so perfect. They have a perfect marriage, perfect business, perfect dog, perfect everything. What if it's not that cut and dry? What if their mindset isn't, it's either or, I'm either falling apart or I'm doing well? What if I'm falling apart and I'm doing really well? What if it's I'm super uncertain and something? So I want to walk you through that. The victim, I don't have time to walk through this today. This will be for another video, but there is a victim mindset and a responsibility mindset. The victim mindset is when we think we don't have a choice. We feel stuck. We don't think there is a way forward, and there's just nothing else for us other than this uncertainty or this anxiety or whatever it is that is the result of our uncertainty. We think that there is no way forward. So the true transformation in us happens when we can go from, instead of trying to prevent all this uncertainty in our life, we embrace it and see it as an invitation to a new opportunity or to more. And we do that by holding space for both. So it looks like this. I could be uncertain. I was actually okay with being extremely uncertain about my faith. Other people weren't. They were like, whoa, what's happened to Jenni? Like, she used to be so stable and so solid and had such a knowing, and I think she's losing it. And I was like, you know what? Doesn't the Bible actually talk about like working out your salvation with fear and trembling? Isn't that what this is? Isn't the blessing in the wrestling? Isn't it in the questions? Like, look at all the people in the Bible even that asked questions and that were not okay. And they were uncertain about their faith, and yet could see it as an invitation, potentially an invitation to more of God's character than they currently possessed. More of his nature that was undiscovered to them that they didn't yet know. And that was it for me. And that's how I choose to approach my faith. When I'm so uncertain about something and I don't have an answer, I go, oh, this is good. I can hold space for this uncertainty and not be overcome by it and drown in it. And I can see that it is an invitation potentially to more of God's character and nature that I don't know today, that I have never maybe touched or realized, or it's been in here, but it's not been a part of my essence and being. And I get excited. I get excited about that. What about uncertainty in a relationship? You're not really sure where it's headed or where it's going, or it feels shaky, or maybe because of COVID and quarantine, you're fighting with your spouse all the time and you're going, I don't actually even know if I like this person. And there's so much uncertainty around this. Can you hold space for that uncertainty and hold it in one hand and possibly see that there is an invitation to more here? Maybe there's an invitation for you growing in some areas that you need to grow in, looking at yourself and taking some responsibility for your contribution to that. Maybe there's an invitation to more depth in that relationship, or maybe it's a relationship that you're going, maybe there's an invitation here to really look at it and to be honest and authentic and raw and real with myself, to go, where am I at in this relationship? There's so many possibilities of invitation there. What about the uncertainty for how you do your business? How you run your business from home when you're used to doing meetings and networking and connecting and having classes or being face-to-face. How do we do this from home? Or how do I do something new that I've always done this way and now I'm being forced to try it a new way? Can you hold space for all the uncertainty that lies there? All the fear, all the anxiety about the uncertainty about how to do this thing. And can you hold space for the invitation that maybe, just maybe, there's more for you, and that you're going to learn new skills, that you're going to step into a realm of creativity that you've never discovered, and things about yourself that you've never known? What if both are true? Can you hold space at the same time for both of them? So my challenge to you today is that uncertainty, it's inevitable, it's hard, it's not fun, but can you hold space for uncertainty and opportunity? Can you hold space for uncertainty and walking in more? Can you hold space for being uncertain and achieving new things that you didn't even know you could do? Uncertainty and a faith that's growing. Can you hold space for both? And if you need that visual this week, take that visual with you. Go, like as soon as you feel the overwhelm, the anxiety, the worry, the fear creep in, note, what am I feeling uncertain about? What am I grasping for stability and safety in? Grab it, put it in this hand, and then go, and what's the invitation? What is the possible invitation that is waiting for me in this moment? And can I hold both together? Not run from it, not deny it, not Bible Band-Aid it, not just whatever it away. Hold it, sit in it, feel what you need to feel about it, be honest with yourself, and look at the invitation that it is. And I think that is the essence of how we grow. That is the essence of how we transform into this more mature person that can actually look at our life situations and realize that they're not either or. It's a yes and. It's a both and. It's hard. It's scary, guys, but it's so worth it. It is so worth it to not run, to not put your head in the sand when uncertainty comes your way, because you really can't. You can't outrun it. Believe me, I tried for 2 years to outrun it, turned into another cycle of trying to outrun it. I ended up very, very sick. I had fibromyalgia. I thought I was dying at 28, and come to realize something that they said would never be cured. There's no answers for this. It was me holding on to so much fear and not being able to hold space for, I'm holding all this and there's more. And I can walk through life and hold the sadness and the uncertainty that it's brought with losing my son. And I can actually have joy and I can move forward with my life. Oh my gosh, that sounds terrifying if you've ever lost a child. Like, that's terrifying to say I can hold space for both of those and they can both be just as true. So this week, I want to give you a journal question, a couple journal prompts. I mentioned it on our last video, but in case you missed that, one way that I love to journal is I used to like to write a lot, but for whatever reason, I don't like it as much. I don't love my handwriting. It just gets annoying. I can't even read my own handwriting. So if you like to journal, write it down. Or on your notes, underneath, if you have an iPhone or a notes app of some sort, just open it up and date it for this week and just put things that I'm noticing about myself. This is about yourself. If you want to grow and personally develop, take your eyes off of out here and what's happening here and in the world and start putting them here and just notice things about yourself. And this is what I want you to notice this week. Notice where you have been operating in an either or mindset when it comes to uncertainty. Start noticing. Take note of when you swing so far to one side and you dismiss any other possibilities. And ask yourself this question: how's that working for me? How is that working out for me? What's coming in my life because of doing that either or thinking? And maybe what's closing down for me? What's happening when I operate that way? Second question I want you to think about and consider this week and just begin to notice about yourself is, what do I need to hold space for this week? Meaning, what is uncertain and. I want you to fill in that blank for yourself. I am feeling very uncertain, and what's the invitation over here potentially? So I'm feeling uncertain about your faith, a relationship, the state of the world, the economy, your business. Fill in the blank. My kids, I don't know if they're going back to school. I'm feeling so uncertain, and what's the possibility? And what I want you to do is I want you to comment below this when you discover that for yourself this week. I want to hear it. I want to know what you're feeling uncertain around, because there's a lot of emotion there, and we want to acknowledge that with you. We want to sit in it with you, and I want to hear what you're seeing the possible invitation might be in that. If you feel stuck and you need a community of people around you to help you find the invitation, the possible invitation, we're here to help you. Comment below, let us help you. But I want to hear those things for you this week. What are those things that you are holding space for simultaneously? Okay, I can't wait to hear from you. Let's do this thing together.